Good morning from Chorleywood Station, where I'm changing trains to reach the end of the Metropolitan Line at Amersham. I was on a Chesham train, where before I head out on my walk today in the Chiltern Hills, I want to take advantage of the fact that the London Transport Museum is organising a tour of an old 1938 stock tube train. These are the ones which ran on the Isle of Wight, by the way, and it might possibly pass through here on its way to Amersham. Okay, yeah, I almost missed getting a shot of it, but it's okay because I've seen that train before a couple of times doing tours. We might actually miss it again because it's scheduled to leave Amersham at the same exact time I meant to get there. But I should point out that this is not the only train out today. There is one which I've never seen. There is an electric locomotive which is nicknamed Sarah Siddons, named after a Welsh actor from the 18th century, which would have ran on the Metropolitan Line from around 1923. It's over 100 years old. And it would have ran up until 1960 when the new A stock trains were introduced. The A stands for Amersham, by the way, and it was at the same time that the line had been electrified beyond Rickmansworth as far as Amersham. Those trains themselves would have lasted around 50 years until they were replaced by the current S-stock trains on the Metropolitan Line.
The next station is Amersham, where this train terminates. Change for National Rail Services to Aylesbury. Please take your belongings with you when you leave the train. All change.
So brilliantly, I have made it here in time to see the 38 stock just before it departs. I love the old London Transport logo on the side, the wooden floor. I can see the line diagrams is an old Northern Line one. The no smoking roundels are a huge plus as well. You can still see them on the 72 stock Bakerloo line trains. It's like you can still get a retro tube journey if you get one of them rather than pay a more expensive price to catch one of these. Okay, so I've left the station now. I'm going to get my ticket to head further into the Chilterns, which Metropolitan Line trains used to do. They don't anymore, as the line wasn't electrified beyond Amersham, so it's just the Chiltern Railway services nowadays. And before my train is due, I should hopefully see Sarah Siddons again in closer detail once it makes its way back here. Amersham Station, by the way, there's a great fact about it I love. It's the highest station on the London Underground network above sea level, about 147 metres, which feels like a fitting fact when you consider some of the other summits that I'll be climbing today. I like how this booth at Amersham Station, by the way, has a Victoria Line maquette. You would think it would be a Metropolitan Line one here. A good way to pass the time while I wait is to have a look at a London Transport Museum pop-up shop here at Amersham Station, which has loads of brilliant transport goods and railway paraphernalia. It's brilliant to see something a little bit different. Everyone was rushing to get a photo of the train from either end, but now most people have gotten on, so should hopefully have a fairly empty platform to maybe get a shot of this departing before my Chiltern train is due. The individual carriages are really impressive too. This one here is actually named after Florence Nightingale and looks amazing inside. Imagine sitting in an armchair on the train, that'd be fantastic. The locomotive at the other end, if you can hear me over it, the non-Sarah Siddons one, is named after Sir John Betjeman, the Class 20. Should be leaving any minute now. Well, what an eventful morning that was, but I finally made it to one of the former Metropolitan Line stations at Great Missenden, now just a Chiltern railway station, where I can finally explain what the walk is today, and that is the final section I've not walked of the South Bucks Way. It was back in 2021 and 2022 that I did the other two sections from here back to Amersham, and then from Amersham to Denham, where it meets the River Colne and the Grand Union Canal. It doesn't quite end at the station, and the section north of here, which I'm walking today, also doesn't end at a station, so the walk is always longer than what it probably should be. But I'm looking forward to finally, 5 years later or so, completing the South Bucks Way. The first time I came to Great Missenden though would have been much longer than 5 years ago, when I was a child, to visit the Roald Dahl Museum and Story Centre. Roald Dahl is one of the most famous children's authors behind titles such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox, the BFG, and he would have spent most of his adult life until he died in 1990 here in Great Missenden. If you walk up into the churchyard, you can actually find Roald Dahl's grave, 1916 to 1990. I have such fond memories of coming here with my parents and of reading his books as a child, so it's nice to come back here so many years later. I had to revisit these locations before heading off on the South Bucks Way today. I remember finding this sign, oh, focus please, quite amusing. Cyclists dismount, low headroom, because you would have to be quite tall to hit your head here, but I guess it's because it does get shallower at the other end. Now, it hasn't taken too long on this walk to reach the Black Horse pub, where opposite, apparently, I don't see any water down there, but apparently this is the source of the River Misbourne, of which most of it you follow on the other sections of the South Bucks Way to Amersham and Denham. So I'm passing under the railway line just north of Great Missenden, and it has just occurred to me that another railway line might pose problems for this walk. You see, there's this little known project called HS2. This mainline railway is cutting right across the Chilterns. I did see a notice back there saying that there are some public footpaths closed so that they can construct this new railway. I don't quite know yet if this is going to affect the South Bucks Way. I'm looking towards the hills. I'm not seeing any obstructions yet, so we'll give it our best shot. If anything though, I can always just head back to Great Missenden station, catch the train up to the next station, and visit places on this walk that way instead. But we'll give it a go for now. Actually, that looks like a lot of construction. That must be HS2, which is a good sign because I'm staying up here. I'm going nowhere near that area at all, so it shouldn't affect me. Ah, you can see the route of HS2 cutting across the countryside here. There's even a new bridge that's been built down there. It's interesting to look at HS2 on Google Maps because you can quite clearly see how it's left its scar right across the country. I've had to, rather frustratingly, descend through these woods because that just means I'm going to have to climb again later now, and I'm on a different long distance footpath, the Chiltern Way. Why is there no mention of the South Bucks Way here? That's a bit strange. And despite it being a really hot day, I'm glad to have had some woodland walks so far. Well, at least up until this point, but how beautiful is this? It's amazing. That was a nice bench to sit on to take a little bit of a break. I'm on a rather modest village green. There's not a whole lot to this place at all. I'm in Little Hampton. Seems to only really be a couple of houses. and that's about it. So the walk I had plotted would have taken me along this footpath, but down there I spotted a South Bucks Way footpath sign pointing along here instead. So I did end up taking this footpath, and I was wondering once I reached the junction what way the South Bucks Way would be pointing from here, but it isn't at all. It's instead another long distance footpath known as the Ridgeway. Either way, I don't think it really matters whatever way you go through here. The woods are just amazing to be in. Well, I'm pretty much approaching the end of the South Bucks Way. It's been a gradual incline, but it hasn't been that bad to reach Coombe Hill, the end of the South Bucks Way. So this is it, the end of the South Bucks Way at the summit of Coombe Hill, where there's a fantastic war memorial and just the most incredible view. I have walked all of the South Bucks Way. What's brilliant about being all the way up here is that you can actually spot Chequers just down there, which is the home of the Prime Minister in the country. I guess that's just got a new residence recently. And Coombe Hill used to be a part of the estate, but I'm actually looking over towards that hill. There's only a couple of trees up there. I first climbed that back in the winter of 2018, which is kind of close to Little Kimble Station, and I also revisited it in 2021 at the same time that I first came here to Coombe Hill. So it was on that walk in 2021 that I began at Wendover Station, which is somewhere down there. And I first headed across a couple of fields, I think over towards those houses, and then up towards Coombe Hill. But I'm wondering if that's even possible anymore, because you can see the construction of HS2, which might have obliterated that footpath. If so, I'm glad I walked down there when I had the opportunity to. So one day, when the tracks are in place, I might be able to say that I have stood in that exact spot when the train goes over it before they even began construction. And because the South Bucks Way ends on top of the hill, you would have to walk to Wendover Station. It's the only way to get out of there, which would be along the Ridgeway National Trail, the other long distance footpath here. So this is a repeat section for me, just I'm not going down into the fields this time. I might not be able to get out if HS2 is in the way, and that's an interesting topic, right? And I'm sure we'll make a whole dedicated video on HS2 one day once it finally opens in 74 years. But I remember specifically not actually knowing that it was really a thing. Like, I had heard of it, they've been talking about it for years. I thought it was still in the planning stages, and at some point I was walking at West Ruislip, or I passed at Euston. I thought, oh, they have actually begun construction of HS2, and it's like the most controversial infrastructure project. It's an interesting topic, and we'll definitely get into it another time. And because I had a relatively short section of the South Bucks Way left to do for me today, now that I am heading towards Wendover Station, I'm not actually going to end there yet. I'm going to continue up into the woods on the other side. Okay, so now that I've descended towards Wendover, this is where HS2 is a problem. I think I meant to go directly down there. Obviously, I can't do that. So, it's not the longest diversion in the world. It's just up here a little bit, and then right on that road. Wow, well, we all knew how gigantic of a project this was. To see HS2 up close and personal here is mental. Yeah, that public footpath I took across the fields 5 years ago is definitely gone. Wow, this truly is something. I wasn't expecting to see tunnel portals here. I would have said this would be a fantastic place to come back to in 47 years and get a shot of a train coming out the tunnel here, but I can see the tunnel continuing over there, so they might actually connect them up and cover them over. You might not actually see trains from this point. I guess I'm glad I was on diversion just so I can see the tunnel portals, otherwise I'd be crossing basically where that bridge is over there, but I'm just not currently allowed to. Now, in the heart of a recreation ground in Wendover, you will find Hampton Pond, which provides water for a nearby canal. Now, the second and only ever time that I've been to Wendover was to walk that canal, the Wendover arm of the Grand Union, as well as the Aylesbury arm on the same day as well. And that was in 2022. And both times I failed to get a photo of Wendover Station, which I need for the collection. So I'll admit that's partly the reason why I came out here today, and I will get one once we've done a loop of Wendover Woods, and I just felt like the perfect opportunity to do so today because they were running the heritage train tours. In fact, I think this is even the course of it here. There's nothing to stop me getting into the water, which looks really clear at this point. It is currently a disused canal. I remember seeing them trying to restore it when I walked it before, and I would like to do that again one day once it's been fully restored, because it will just look very different. Alright, finally my loop of Wendover Woods can commence, and I'm quite looking forward to this because there are some rather intriguing locations in here. The first location in Wendover Woods is Boddington Hill Fort. Yes, there is a hill fort here from around 800 BC, which is just insane. The fact that you can still see the boundaries of this hill fort over 2,500 years later is ridiculous. I always love a historic hill fort because it just amazes me that thousands of years ago people would have lived here, and now it's just been reclaimed by nature and people just pass by all the time on their walks, perhaps not even really knowing the history of this site. Maiden Castle in Dorset is the largest hill fort in Britain. Okay, that might have to go on the list of places to visit one day. I saw these as I was walking along and I was like, I really wish I had a tennis ball right now so I could actually use them. And then I found one. Just gotta, oh god, that's actually tricky to do because you need to move it so slowly. Come on, that's already through. Come on, slowly. There you go. Through's the last one. No, through's the last one. Yeah. Okay, this one has no skill. I just want to see gravity do its work. Oh, that's going to slow it down a lot. Oh! Okay. We'll just let it go after that. Oh, I thought it was going to come out then. Yay! And then this one. Is there any skill to it, or is it just luck? We'll put it on in the middle. It could work. Don't get stuck. Okay, perfect. You know what? It's not about luck. It is skill. I promise it's skill. The place I most wanted to visit in Wendover Woods though, and what really drew me out here in the first place to visit this along with doing the remaining section of the South Bucks Way, was to climb Haddington Hill, as it is the tallest hill in the Chilterns, the tallest Chiltern Hill. And it might feel like a little bit of an anti-climax because I can't really see anything that denotes that I'm at the summit. I was hoping there might be a trig point or something, and because we're in the middle of the woods, you don't get a fantastic view like you do on top of Coombe Hill. In fact, I'm only about 7 or 8 meters higher than Coombe Hill. This is about 267, 68 meters high, and it's just tucked behind the Go Ape and the car park, and there's nothing here, but I think I am in the right spot. I'm standing where it says on the map marker. There's nothing here. Oh, hang on a minute. Highest point stone cairn, this way. That's a good sign. Ah, this must be it. Oh, thank God I found something. The Chiltern summit. Yes, it is 267 meters. And it really is just tucked away in the woods, far behind the car park and the cafe. No one would really come here unless you were searching for it yourself. So I guess this is also the highest point in Buckinghamshire, and apparently not too far away in a place called Pavis Wood, you can find the highest point in Hertfordshire at only 244 meters. We've got it beat here. That would be interesting to visit itself one day. I would like to do kind of the highest point of each county. That would be fun. Yeah, we'll go there one day. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the actual climb, because it was a little tricky when you first enter the wood. It is rather steep, but it was at least doable because I was in the shade. If I was exposed in the sun, I don't even know if I would have been able to do it. Doing this so late in the evening on this walk, you know, you get tired the more you go on. So I am quite tired now, but I'm continuing with my loop of Wendover Woods. There's still a couple more places to visit. Now, funnily enough, on the complete opposite side of Wendover Woods, there is a completely different Coombe Hill. And this one is actually marked with a trig point at its summit. So what I wanted to come over to this Coombe Hill for is to actually visit Aston Hill, where just off of the road there is this little plaque that tells you the origins of Aston Martin. From 1904 to 1925, Aston Hill, part of the Lord Rothschild estate, was a renowned motoring venue. Lionel Martin made his first ascent of this hill in a tuned Singer car on the 4th of April 1914. Shortly afterwards, on the 16th of May, at the Hart County Automobile and Aero Club meeting, he was so successful that the sporting light car first registered in his name in March 1915 was called an Aston Martin. It was the start of a legend in the history of the automobile, and it's just pretty amazing to think that one of the most world-renowned high-end luxury sports cars can be traced back here to this arbitrary spot in the Chilterns near to Wendover. And I did actually add this onto today's walk, which is going to make this close to 14 miles. It was originally only going to be around 12 and a half, but I've come so far up through Wendover Woods that I have now got to loop all the way back down through it into the town and finally to the station. I think I've still got about 2 miles to get there. Wow, look at all the spider webs attached to this gate here. I'm surprised it's not kind of come away through people opening and closing the gate. I haven't been looking out for geocaches today, but I have just spotted this down here. Geocaching game piece. This is not the final catch. Did someone leave like a treasure trail to try and find one or something? Yeah, it is some sort of trail because there's just a QR code in there. I've scanned it and it does just label an image of where you can find the next one. Honestly, when I first spotted that, I thought it was maybe rat poison or something. You do sometimes see things like that. I actually remember seeing a camp from when I walked the Wendover Canal arm before. So I'm at the complete opposite end of it now. It seems almost fitting then that I would come across some sort of war defence structure in the woods. It's not quite a pillbox because I don't see any gun holes, But it's something along them lines. The only thing about walking to Wendover station in this direction is that it's quite a long stretch along the road. But luckily, passing through the village centre is actually quite nice. Oh, I finally made it. I'm knackered. I do remember Wendover station very well. I'd love to say it's very nice and peaceful because I do have it to myself. But you do have a road running right next door. I did look, by the way, to see if there were any buses to reach Chesham or Amersham on the Metropolitan Line, because it would be slightly cheaper than catching the train. But there just isn't at this time, so I had to brave the walk all the way through the village. Plus, I needed to come here to get a photo of the station sign anyways, which I've now done. Also, I've bought my ticket to one stop beyond Amersham at Chalfont and Latimer, because for some reason it's 20p cheaper. Wendover to Amersham users, buy a ticket to Chalfont and Latimer. It's a good thing I've made the train because it is technically the last one of the night. In 1 hour and 20 minutes there is a rail replacement bus, so presumably they're finishing early tonight to do some sort of engineering works. Well, there you go, that's the end of the walk, and after doing so many in the Chilterns throughout 2021 and 2022, it's nice to finally put the South Bucks Way to rest. If you're looking for the other stations on this line, I have made a video before. One of my earliest ones from 2 years ago was a walk from Aylesbury Vale Parkway through Aylesbury and to Stoke Mandeville Station. The other stops on the former Metropolitan Line to Aylesbury, not Aylesbury Vale Parkway. Although the line did continue again further beyond, but there was no stop there. So I will leave a link to that in the description below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you for another video soon. Right then. Who's logged a road closed sign all the way up there in the tree? That's not helping anyone.